So in today's video, we will not only tell the story of the film in short, you will know, but I will also tell you things related to Bhoota Kola and Kambala. Now the video starts. Before I do, as usual, let me remind you that if you like this video, so please like and share it, and also subscribe to the channel. So now with that said, let's roll the intro. So the story of the film begins in 1847, where we are told that at that time, the South, there was a king in Kannada, whose kingdom was very big. He had a wife and children. The people respected him, but despite all this, the king was not at peace. He was not happy. For some reason, he was always distracted, and he couldn't even sleep. In search of this spiritual peace, the king visited many temples. He met saints, but to no avail. Finally, a priest tells the king that he must go on a journey alone, where he finds a power that can bring him peace. In such a situation, the king sets out on a journey alone, but he does not find peace in any temple or with any guru. So finally he goes to the jungles, and one day he hears the sound of Gagra there. The king is not afraid of this voice, rather he feels that this voice is calling him lovingly. He follows it and sees a stone there, to whom the king surrenders his weapon. At this moment, the king finds spiritual peace and wants to take this stone with him. But then the villagers come there, and they tell the king to take whatever he wants, but you cannot take away our Daiva Panjurli. Then suddenly the god himself enters one of the villagers, and he becomes the king. He says that if you take me with you, then who will protect these villagers? So if you want me to come with you, the villagers will have to give land till the point where my screams can be heard. In return, I will come with you, so that your spiritual peace will prevail throughout the generations. And Gulaga will also come with me. But be careful, if you make a mistake, so maybe I will forgive you, but Gudga will not forgive you. Hearing all this, the king agrees and takes Deva with him to the establishment. They pay taxes, while the villagers get a lot of land. From then on, Raja lives a happy and prosperous life. And from here, the story moves to the 1970s. Now, before I tell you the rest of the story, it is important for you to know a little about the culture of the coastal region of Karnataka. I will not go into details here because it will take a separate long video. But for now, if you know the basics, then you can fly. People from the Mangalore side, whose mother tongue is often Tulu, they believe in God. Deva is like a supernatural spirit that protects and guides the people there. There is a Bhutstan for worship. It is said that by giving proper respect to the people, the gods have to be worshipped, because if they are hurt in any way, the consequences can be very bad. Now, Bhoota Kola is a part of this culture in which the performer, or we can say that a dancer, gets ready and performs, and during this dance, God gives him. These performers usually come from the same family, who have been doing this for generations. They have been doing this, and during this, the Devas bless the people, in some cases, Bhoota Kola. During this, Deva also solves people's personal disputes or village disputes. Now in Tulunadu, people worship many deities, and each deity has its own story. For example, in the initial scene of the film Panjurli Guliga Kalkuda, etc., the villagers also, one of the men Deva had poised, must have been a generational performer, and through him, you must have been talking to people about this custom, which is followed even today, and some of its. There are such amazing real stories that you will not believe them when you hear them. Anyway, now you have got some information about the culture of the coastal area. You can read the story of the film. You'll be able to understand it better later, but here are 9. In the same village, a Bhoota Kola was being held where the father of a child named Shiva was performing. During the Kola, we see that the descendants of that king, i.e. his sons, he must be the son of or someone from a similar generation, and is trying to take back the land from the villagers. He says that he will go to court and get all the land registered in his name, and at this point, the deity comes inside the performer and says that your lineage, the villagers got this land for peace. So if you want land, you can get it. He will go, but your peace will also be lost. Now, even after hearing all this, that person, neither was he believing in God. Moreover, he even says that these things are being said by God or the performer. At this point, Daiva becomes angry and says that it is your decision. So it will be decided in the court itself. And as far as I am, a god is concerned, or a performer. So if you ever see me after today, then understand that I am a performer, otherwise Deva. Saying this, Shiva's father runs into the forest with a torch and suddenly disappears. After this day, no one saw Shiva's father, And as for the descendants of that king, that person is actually killed by vomiting blood on the court stairs. Now from here, the story comes to 1990, where Shiva has now grown up. It is done, and we see him participating in Kambala. Now for those who do not know Kambala, let me tell them in short that this is a buffalo race in which the buffalo owners also ride along with them, and whoever covers a defined distance in the shortest time will be the winner. So in this race, Shiva runs very fast, and he should have won, but due to dishonesty, and made the landlord's buffalo win, due to which Shiva clashes with the landlord's people. Finally, the landlord gives the medals and awards to Shiva, and he also gets angry at his men for doing such dishonesty. Now at this point, let me tell you about some characters of the film so that you can understand them further. To make things clear, first of all, there is Shiva, whose father was 20 years old at the time of Bhoota Kola. Shiva's family had disappeared first. She has been carrying forward this tradition since generations. Now, according to tradition, Shiva has to perform Bhoota Kola. I mean, he should have continued it, but he had become a drunkard and a good-for-nothing. That's why his brother Guruva used to perform. Both of them also had a mother who was always angry with Shiva and his friends. Coming to Shiva's friend, well, these people were Rampa, Bulla, Lamurchu, Naru, etc. Shiva's love interest is Leela, and there is a forest in the village who have been appointed to protect. His name was Inspector Murali. Now the landlord we just talked about is from the same lineage as the king. Although this landlord seemed fine till now, and a man named Sudhakar lives with him, with whom he had clashed during Kamala's time. We would have known further in the story. It is said that Shiva and his friends used to do odd jobs for the landlord, whether it is legal or illegal. For example, killing a wild boar, hunting, cutting wood, etc. And in such cases, the landlord, I would give them some money or give them liquor, etc. Life was going well, but this new Inspector Murali started becoming a nuisance for him. I mean, he started stopping the locals from cutting trees, etc., was not accepting their cultural beliefs. And Shiva, and while hunting the gang, he also wanted to catch them. In such a situation, Shiva meets the inspector a couple of times, and there is a lot of tension between them. There is a fight, and we understand that these two have become enemies of each other. Basically, some tension increases between them, and then everything becomes problematic. This happens when the inspector decides to declare the entire area as a reserved forest. Throughout all this, we see Shiva repeatedly remembering his father's disappearance. He used to have such scenes in his dreams, and once he saw a wild boar in the forest, who wore a gagra and similar ornaments, which meant he was no ordinary pig. Apart from all this, Shiva also often saw gods in his dreams. Well, after a few days, Leela comes back to the village, and it turns out she's come with police training and such. Shiva and Leela grow closer, and Shiva, he talks to the landlord and gets Leela a job in the police. Now on the first day of his job, the inspector goes to the village to measure the forest area on government orders. He comes, and he was also going to report encroachment, that is, the person who had entered his house illegally, or made in an illegal area. According to the government, he would report all of them to the government. In such a situation, the villagers start running away from the police. And then Shiva comes there and gets into a scuffle with the police. In this fight, the policemen tie up Shiva, and they take away Sudhakar with the help of laborers. The encroachment area is dug up and marked. Now the villagers were completely disturbed by these incidents. In fact, they start taunting Leela also, because Leela was with the police, knowing the fact that it was his first day. Anyway, to solve this whole problem, the landlord brings in a lawyer that he will either validate the land papers of the villagers or get them made. According to where they were staying, the lawyer got everyone's papers thumbprinted one by one. This is because most of the villagers were not educated, and the inspector, he was busy with his work. When Shiva came to pick up a fight with his friend, the inspector, they seemed to be hunting. I mean, they start cutting down more trees so that all these... Moreover, Shiva often goes to Sudhakar and the landlord's people. He used to fight with him also. The landlord had a special love for Shiva. During extramarital affairs, he used to take Shiva as a guard, and in general, the landlord behaved very well towards Shiva, like giving him money and offering him drinks. So one night, Shiva and his friends were secretly cutting a big tree. When Sudhakar gives their location to the police immediately arrive, and in the chaos, the huge tree falls on the police vehicle, due to which all the people sitting in the jeep get injured. After this incident, Shiva was charged with attempt to murder, and in such a situation, he starts living secretly in the forest with his friends. The police are searching everywhere for Shiva and his friends, and that is why Shiva had to come to the village secretly. Similarly, once when Shiva comes to meet Leela, he is caught. He and his companions are sent to jail. Now that Guruva suddenly got up and called the landlord and told him everything was fine, and the landlord says he will fix everything. But things were only going to get worse in the future. Shiva and his friends were in jail, and the police were still patrolling the entire area, was bent upon declaring it a reserve forest. Then one day the landlord, he is going somewhere in his jeep when he sees Guruva on the way. The landlord makes Guruva sit in his jeep and takes him to a place where Guruva, he tells him how all this land belongs to him, and if he has Guruvacha, he will give him 5 acres of land. In return, Gudwa had to say just this during his performance. The villagers have to return all the land to the landlord. Yes, friends, here we have the real game of landlord. It is understood, and Guruva refuses to do so. Guruva says that God will never allow this to happen. And hearing this, the landlord kills Guruva. Then, with the help of Sudhakar, he takes Guruva's body to the village. I leave it right where the ghost Kola used to be. The villagers are very upset to find Guruva a myth. And the next day, the landlord comes to them and starts offering them peace, as if he is not aware of it. On the other hand, the inspector finds out who killed Guruva and that the landlord had hired his lawyer. With the help of these villagers, he has got the entire land transferred in his name, and now everything is legally in the hands of the landlord. What has happened? I mean, the villagers were not educated, and taking advantage of this, the landlord, their land had been legally seized. So the inspector decides to help the villagers. And at this point, we understand that the inspector was not a bad man, but he was just a forest guard. Wanted to save even if he has to fight anyone for it. Anyway, after this, the villagers inform the jail about Guruva's death. They convey this to Shiva, and upon knowing this, Shiva is completely shattered. Let me tell you here that on the same night when Guruva was killed, Shiva, he had a dream in which Guruva was crying in front of him in the form of Daiva. Moreover, throughout the movie, Shiva always had dreams about Daiva. Anyway, coming back to the story, the landlord realizes that the inspector might be up to his business. I have a problem with him, that is why he releases him from jail and tells him that Guruva, on hearing that the inspector had killed him, Shaheva immediately went to the blacksmith and drew his sword. He tries to kill the inspector, but here the blacksmith Shiva tells that on the day Guruva was killed, he saw Guruva in the jeep. I saw it with the landlord, and while returning the landlord was alone, i.e., on Thursday. Shiva was in an inebriated state at the time, but he too knew this. He begins to understand and gets confirmation of this when the landlord's men, he also tries to kill Shiva, including Sudhakar. In this fight, Shiva overpowers them, and the fight ends. After this, he goes to the landlord's house and threatens him. After this, Shiva moves towards the village on his bike. When he sees Deva on the way, Shiva meets with an accident. Shiva takes a torch and goes into the forest where he again sees the same pig with the jewels. And while chasing it, Shiva reaches the exact spot where his father had disappeared. Here, Shiva hears the voice of Deva, who guides him. After all this, Shiva reaches the village, where he looked quite calm, and he was with the villagers. He tells that Guruva has been killed by the landlord. There is also an inspector there who explains to the villagers that if this land is declared as reserve forest, then it will not even belong to the landlord. After that, by submitting an application to the court, the villagers can live here. That is, even if this land, it will not be theirs, but they will be able to live here, and mostly the landlord will not have any rights over it. On the other hand, the landlord decides that he will destroy the entire village with the help of his men. And that is why he comes here with many people and attacks the villagers. In response, the villagers also fight, and the villagers, not only Shiva but also the inspector was with him. A fierce battle takes place here in which both sides, many people are killed, and the evil landlord is enjoying it all. I mean, he himself was killing many people with a gun. In fact, he was even killing his own men. Shiva's friend Bula is also killed in this terrible battle. And there comes a point in the fight when Sudhakar also goes against the landlord. And throughout the movie, we were seeing that Sudhakar was the bad guy. But he felt a little awkward about doing something so bad. And in the end, he turned around. But this results in the landlord killing Sudhakar as well. Shiva fights his way towards the landlord, but one of the landlord's strong men grabs Shiva by the neck and hangs him in the air. In such a situation, Shiva's body becomes still, and as a viewer we feel that Shiva is dead. With Shiva's death, the landlord declares his victory, and he starts saying nonsense to the villagers. Then as a view we see that God Shiva he comes and shouts, and with this Shiva gets up and stands. But friends, Shiva was not normal. Rather, he was completely posed. Yes. Looking at him, it was clear that Gulagas had entered him, and they were coming one by one. He kills all the landlord's men by displaying supernatural powers. Then, through Shiva, Guligadeva tells the landlord that you have committed so many sins, so what made you think that you would be saved? Panjurli Deva might forgive you, but I will not do it. Your blood will water the soil here, and so... After saying this, he kills the landlord, trust me that this whole 20 minutes, there was an ending scene in it that will give you goosebumps, such as the performance, such as the music, and there are visuals like this. Well, from here the story is shown after a few days where we see Shiva performing Bhoota Kola. He hands over the responsibility of this place to the inspector and the rest of the villagers. Here Leela was pregnant, which meant that Shiva was in Leela's womb, and then Shiva runs into the forest, just like his father. In such a viewer, we see that Deva and his father come inside Shiva. The gods greet each other, and they both suddenly disappear. That means Shiva was also never found after that day. This is probably because Shiva had died at the time of the battle. I just gave him this extra life for some time so that he could complete his work. In the credit scene, Shiva's son is seen a little older. It has happened, and Shiva's friend is telling him his story. This shows that in future, Shiva's son will also be a dancer in Bhoota Kola, and Deva will come inside him too. The film ends here. Friends, this was the story of the film Kantara, and trust me, when I say this is one of the best movies I saw this year, I mean, I cannot even expect such acting in the film, Bollywood, etc. Rishab Shetty's performance in 20 minutes of Main Kisi CR India will blow your mind. Deji and the culture has been represented so well in the film that I can't even describe it. Now here I have covered the story very short, so I skipped a lot of things. It's mostly cultural references because I can't tell you all the references in one video. But let me tell you that culture is woven into every frame of the film, and that it is amazing that people who are from Karnataka, specifically from Kundapur, in Udupi area, they like to watch the film. You will understand more than the rest. For example, Deva says many things through gestures. In scene, Guliga asks for food, and he eats it too. If you read the history of Guliga, then will you be able to understand these references as to why he was asking for food? Now the word Panjurli is derived from the Tulu word Panji, which means pig, and that is why we have a goddess. In the film, one could see wild pigs, and that represented Panjurli. Every god has his own story and his own nature. No matter how much I tell you here, if I start breaking each frame in this video, then the video will be ruined. It will take not just 1 but 2 hours. But still the thing will not be explained, so for that you will have to go to coastal. We will have to understand the culture of the area. And let me tell you here, that in reality, even today, such people, there are incidents which, if you hear about them, will blow your mind. Now, as I have said before, I will bring a separate video on Bhoota Kola, on which work is already in progress there. I will discuss the culture in some detail, and will also tell you some real stories which you will be shocked after listening to it, so if you want me to bring that video, then you can watch this video. Get 40 likes on it. For now, I will just say that if you watch this movie, if you are missing out on this, you are missing something very big. The film is absolutely perfect, be it the acting, cinematography, performances. Take anything. It is absolutely the best, and if it is in a theater near you, if it is playing, then definitely watch it with all the titles. That's it for today's video.